Wow, that took a little bit to get going. What's the camera setting on here? I'm not really sure what the problem is with my camera, so I apologize. But we are live, and you know what? We're just going to go with it. Kind of look like I do on my picture, so I will work on it. I am here by myself, so I will try to work on what is going on with this camera. Not sure why it's not recognizing. So anyway, this is going to be our introductory podcast. And, I just wanted to do a welcome to everyone. Welcome to Ascended Unity Talks with Cheryl Piper Snyder. You're only one thought away. And that is my tagline. It's been my tagline for a while. I have, have a few different companies. Cheryl Piper, I'm the founder of Alchemy Holistic Life Coach, and also CherylPiper.com, Ascended Unity. In the process of kind of moving things over from Alchemy Holistic Life Coach to CherylPiper.com, Ascended Unity. And, just wanted to come on and let you guys know who I am. It's always best. I did have a script here of, just kind of some things I wanted to talk about. But I thought, you know what? I really think I just want to talk about who I am and my story a little bit and just put it out there for everyone. I've been coaching for many years, and, I really find some common areas with challenges. And the more I study this and the more I talk with people, the more things really come back around to forgiveness. And just kind of putting that out there in the front, because that's really what we're going to be talking about throughout this series, throughout my talks on Mondays and Wednesdays. We'll just pick different topics and look at how we can help everyone come together to move forward and really just let go of that baggage that's weighing you down. And again, I did want to share my story a bit so you really have a feel for where I'm coming from. I am actually on the East Coast right now in Pennsylvania, from my hometown where I'm originally from. I lived in Salt Lake City for 15 years and moved back to Pennsylvania a few years ago. While in Salt Lake, I was married, raising a child, and it was 9 years ago, just right now, 9 years ago. And of course, we know the economy was just in the tanker around 9 years ago. And, I went through a divorce. My best friend, who was my husband of 16 years, just decided that he did not want to be married any longer. And I was devastated. This is something I really thought that I wasn't going to go through. He was my best friend, and we talked about everything and just really enjoyed each other's company. So I was kind of, had the rug pulled out from under me, and really went into just a sad, sad time. We had a son who was 15 at the time, and it was really very, very hard on him. This is something we kind of told him he was not going to go through. His friends had been going through this with their parents, and we felt very secure in being able to say that to him all those years that, you know, we love each other and, we're best friends and, please don't worry about those things. But you know what? Life just has a way of changing, and it sure did for me. I, was in that state of disbelief, which I'm sure those of you who have gone through a divorce in this situation or maybe are going through this right now know what I'm talking about. You're just really just like a deer in the headlights. You just don't know what to do next, and you're in a state of disbelief. I just could not believe that this was happening. And, I'm someone who is um, kind of a pull yourself up by your bootstraps person. And I thought, well, you know what? I have a really good corporate job and I'm just going to focus here. I'm going to put my energy into being successful, and I will just kind of deal with this divorce thing as it's coming. And, well, I guess I kind of was almost putting my head in the sand a little bit, just really wanting to focus over here on my corporate job. And, I had been doing really well in my job, very successful, winning sales contests. Excuse me. And, well, as I said earlier, this was 9 years ago. The economy was just in the tank. And so, right in the middle of me thinking that I'm just going to focus on my job and be really successful here, and that's where I'm going to put my energy, wham, I got the rug pulled out from under me again. And I was laid off from my position. Um, it was I was devastated. I really couldn't believe what was going on in my life. I not only lost my marriage, lost my best friend, now I, lost my source of income, and I just thought, "Wow, what am I gonna do?" And really just almost couldn't focus, couldn't function, just very sad, and spent a lot of time crying, spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I'm gonna do and how am I gonna move through this. All these emotions coming up. I'm angry, I'm disappointed, I'm sad, I just didn't know how to deal with all of it. And I looked at my son who was, you know, this was a few months after all this happened. He had turned 16, and, he was just didn't really want much to do with his dad, and, um, really couldn't figure out what was going on, saw me and how devastated I was and how sad I was, and, he just didn't really know what to do. He was, like I said, very angry with his father, didn't have much to say to him, didn't really wanna go with him anytime he, came to pick him up. And, I looked at this and I thought, "Wow, I have got to show this child how to do this." I have got to show him that in life, you can't always get what you want, but you can move through it with dignity and grace, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I just that's what I did. I just picked myself up and I thought, "You know what? I don't have a clue how to move through this, but I'm gonna move through it." And I just started moving forward. I did not allow myself to be a victim of anything. I experienced the pain, the disappointment, and, was grateful for my friends and grateful for the time that God really gave me to spend and deal with this. Because when I lost my job right in the midst of losing my marriage, I just thought, "Wow, are you kidding me?" And, looking back on it now, I understand that that's exactly what needed to happen to me for me to be able to focus on what I was going through and not bury my head in the sand and just dump myself into my job and that to take over my life. And then, of course, I wouldn't have dealt with any of my pain, any of my disappointment, any of my sadness. I would have just kept that all buried inside. And so I know that, God always has a path and for us to move, and this is part of our journey. And I just started moving through it. And when it comes down to faith, when you are walking through that tunnel of darkness and there's a light on the other side, but boy, you just can't see it. You got to have faith that that light is there and you just keep moving forward because moving back into what that was not an option for me. I needed to move forward. I needed to experience what this was and to learn how to truly forgive. And looking back on it now, I can see it was one of the greatest lessons of my life. And I'm grateful now that I was able to experience this and walk through it. But I do know that it wasn't about me. And I realized that when I got through this and really truly forgave my ex-husband, forgave the situation, forgave the challenge with losing my job. And I knew this was about me helping other people because that's always been my story anyway. I've always want to help people. I always want to do whatever I can to help with whatever situation you're going through. And this was no different. To true forgiveness, and it didn't happen overnight. These things don't happen overnight. Um, what happened to create the situation of losing my marriage didn't happen overnight. And, you just move through it. You get up every day and, people say, how do you do that? How do you start? How do you start moving into that space? And I always say the same thing. Oh, I don't like using that word always, but let's just go with, I say this, start with gratitude. Because when you can look around you and see what's going on and see the things that you have and be grateful for those things and find that peace and gratitude, it kind of pulls you apart from that pain of the situation. It actually kind of pulls you back a little bit from it and gives a little bit of space between that situation and you, where you can start to view that situation a little differently. And gratitude is so important to help us through anything that we're going through because we can always find things to be grateful for. And it really does help to lift you out of that really victim space. We can wallow around in that and feel sorry for ourselves and walk around and tell everybody about how awful it is and how awful this person is and can you believe this company did this to me and and you can do that, but it doesn't really benefit you. It really kind of keeps you stuck in that space. And if you look at my website, CherylPiper.com, one of the things on the homepage that I say is, I ask these questions, are you holding on to something from your past that's pulling you down and holding you back? Are you searching for a way to release that negativity that keeps you from moving forward? Because when you're holding on to things in the past, they really do hold you back from moving forward because you're really making decisions from that space. And it's a space of something that happened in the past. If we can look at it as a lesson, as a life lesson, see what it brought us, what we learned, and then forgive that situation and allow ourselves to move through, then we can really start to move forward into what we want next in our life without having that weight weigh us down. But these are the things that we're going to be talking about and discussing. And we're going to be talking about perception. We're going to be talking about neuroscience. We're going to be talking about communication. We're going to be talking about mindfulness, all of these type things that really do create our reality, because perception really does order our reality, and everything holds the meaning that we give it. This is why you see people, two different people, experiencing the same situation, and one speaks about it in a completely different way than the other, because they're viewing it from their lens of perception. And we're going to get into that and talk about that and what that means, and how you can shift your perception and start to view things differently and start to view it from a different lens. Well, you know, I did have a lot more that I wanted to talk about. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that more when we meet on Mondays and Wednesdays. I'm going to I think I'd like to talk about the power of perception. I have a master's in metaphysical science, and that was the theme of my thesis, the power of perception, because it's so important in shaping our view of reality and our view of the world and our world. And so I think we'll begin there and start with that. But I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a heads up on who I am, what my story is, how I was able to, move through. And I'll talk about that more, because I really just gave you, kind of the short Cliff Notes version of that. And there are definitely things that I did throughout that time period to help me move forward and move into that true forgiveness. And that's another question, and we're going to talk about that one too. When people say, "What do you mean by true forgiveness? What does that mean?" And the definition of that I give is when you have moved through a situation and truly forgiven it, it turns into wisdom. You're able to take that life lesson and help others to move through challenges, because you're not carrying the weight of the situation anymore. You've really let it go. And when you let it go, you'll know, because when you speak about that situation, it won't make you weak in one single cell of your body. You won't feel weak. You won't feel angry. You won't feel sad. You won't feel disappointed. You won't feel any of those feelings, because you've really, truly let it go and you're free from it, controlling your life, making decisions for your life. You're free from that. And it's a wonderful space to be in. And that's what we're here to talk about, moving forward into freedom, into forgiveness. And my tagline, like I said at the beginning, you're only one thought away. And people will say, "Well, what does that mean?" And you finish the sentence. You're only one thought away from peace. You're only one thought away from joy. You're only one thought away from happiness. And what this means is that we can shift our perception with a single thought. So we're always just one thought away from where we choose to be. And we can shift that perception as we learn how to move forward into forgiveness. And I actually think my time is up. Um, I have another minute, but just wanted to close out, just inviting everyone to join me every Monday and Wednesday at noon Eastern Time when we will dive into the many topics to discuss how to break through the challenges in your life. I'm Cheryl Piper. You may also find me out there under Cheryl Piper Snyder, because if you look at my website, alchemyholisticlifecoach.com, you will see there's a lot of information there in my blog posts. And um, I'm moving forward as Cheryl Piper, Ascended Unity, CherylPiper.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Cheryl Piper Sends Love. Oh, also on my Facebook, I'm really trying to transfer things over from the Alchemy Holistic Life Coach Facebook page to the Cheryl Piper page. So you could find me at either place. So just remember, you're only one thought away.